Why should people join photography class? No.
They shouldn't join photography class. No one should be in that class. Good evening. My name is Douglas Robertson, and on last week's episode of Admiral TV, I made a statement about the photography class that was inappropriate, scandalous, and rude. Since that episode, I've received hundreds of angry emails. And it made me realize that words matter. And my words were hurtful. So I would like to make a formal apology to Miss Snell and the photography students, past, present, and future. I hope that in the future, 1/2 of all of Bayside students will take photography class, and the other 1/2 of all of Bayside students will take psychology class, and then they'll switch. Thank you.
Good morning, Admirals. I'm Jack Russos, and welcome to another episode of Admiral TV. Today, you will hear about the Mental Health Awareness Week, On the Bluff News, and watch a short commercial break. But before all that can begin, if you've had Miss Marine as a teacher, then it's no surprise that she has some of the best stories to tell. We at Admiral TV decided to highlight some of her most famous stories. So, we created this new segment, Storytime with Mrs. Marine.
Welcome to Storytime with Mrs. Marine. Hi, I'm Mrs. Marine. When they came and talked to me about a story, I thought about teaching in my classroom and all the stories I love to tell about Mr. Marine. So I thought, I have to tell a story about Mr. Marine. But then again, I have to come up with a PG story since we have a large group of students watching this. So I tried to come up with a PG story that would be okay. So Steve Marine has his MBA, and he took a little time off from teaching and went and worked in the business field. And he was like the special projects manager or something like that. So he was in charge of this big, gigantic trade show. And he was also in charge of all of the driving, parking, carpooling, buses, all of that for this trade show also. So he ended up having to save all sorts of traffic cones in the back of his car. And you know what I'm talking about, the orange cones that you see on the street. Well, they had a peculiar odor to them, and he kept remarking to his friends about this just weird smell. And he only smelled it when they were in his car, probably because the car was closed up. So he had been eating just horrible food during this entire convention that he was running, and his stomach started to react, and he started having rumbles in his tummy. Deep down, low pains. But he brushed that aside, as you can imagine that Mr. Marine would do, and they got through that day of their entire duties. So he and some of his coworkers were going out to dinner, and they decided that they would all drive and meet there. So Steve pulls up with the cones in the back seat of his car, but right before he gets out, he knew it was coming. He knew that his tummy was about to let go. And he tooted. He tooted long and hard. And then he immediately hopped out of the car as fast as he could. At that same time, one of his coworkers, Marcy, pulls up and she says, "Hey, Steve, I want to smell those cones." And he goes, "Really? Right now?" She goes, "Yeah, you've been talking about them. I got to see how bad those cones smell." So Marcy opens the car door up, sticks her whole head in there, and breathed in deep. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, that's horrible!" And Steve says, "Really? I didn't know." And then he walked off. To this day, Marcy does not know what Steve did in that car. The end.
Thanks, Mrs. Marine, for that wonderful story. Now, it's time to see what's happening on the bluff. On Thursday, Mr. Weiss is having his spring music recital. If you have time, try to come out and support the young artists that are performing. Thursday is also National Canine Veteran Day. Military dogs have saved thousands of lives, just like their human counterpart. It is important to thank them for their service. In honor of this special day, consider looking into the process that is involved in adopting a dog that was formerly in the service of the military. To start this process, contact mwd.adoptions@us.af.mil or call 210-671-6766. That's all for On the Bluff. And now for a short commercial break from our senior girls.
Hey women, are you tired of not being represented in sports drinks? Well, look no further. The Daughters of the Admiral made a sports drink just for you. Womanade.
Because women have enough power. Because no one likes skaters.
Hey, women and women rhyme.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
Sour, just like women.
Because estrogen is better than electrolytes.
Who would drink Mayonnaise? That rhymes with mayonnaise.
Womanade.
As you all remember from 2 weeks ago, the Peer Helpers assembled a mental health week for the upper school. Taylor interviewed Mrs. Frederick about the process and idea behind the whole escapade.
Mental Health Awareness Week was started by Olivia Councilman as part of the Peer Helpers. And she was really excited about doing something for the school before she graduated to recognize how hard this year has been on students and faculty. It's no surprise that COVID has really taken a toll on people's mental health, and the morale and the spirit has been a little bit dampened. So Mental Health Week is about rejuvenating everybody before we go into exams and finishing the year strong and celebrating what we've accomplished this year. They will be doing yoga on the bluff with Mr. Richardson, painting kindness rocks, doing stress balls, and doing rock and roll bingo, which has always been a favorite here at Bayside. And we're glad to be bringing it back with our peer helpers. And thanks to Olivia Councilman, who can show that I think one person, one student can really make a difference for the student body.
Thanks, Ms. Frederick. I'm sure we all feel less stressed after that. Spring sports are coming to an end. For those who do not know, the baseball team had their third round of playoff games over the weekend. They played against the Ops High School. Both the boys and girls teams have an RTJ golf trail at Magnolia Grove. Be sure to support your fellow Admirals by going to the tournament or by sending a positive message to the team. And finally, school is almost over. Only 2 weeks left of classes and 1 week of exams. We are so close. Make sure to stay on top of your classes during these last few weeks. Speaking of so close, this is the last AdmiralTV episode with seniors. Their last day of classes is Wednesday, and then they will be on their way to college life. If you're close with a senior, make sure to spend these next 2 days appreciating them on campus. These are some important dates for your seniors. And some other important dates are exam dates for grades 9th through 12th. Make sure to stay on top of your studies and get a good night's rest and have a healthy breakfast before your exams. That's all for this episode of AdmiralTV. If you want to watch more episodes, check out our Bayside Academy live stream or the AdmiralTV YouTube channel for more. This was Jack Russo's. Have a great week and go Admirals.